People are suffering. They wait. Quietly hoping a match can be found. Organs and tissues are desperately needed. Do you care to make a difference? Sign your license or donor card and tell your family, please, give the gift of a lifetime. The Visionary Foundation.
One of the things a parent never expects to do is to bury their own child.
I got a new lease on life. I realized just how much peril I was in before that transplant.
I cried almost every day. We just kept ripping the days off the calendar. And it was, I would have to say, the worst experience in my entire life.
And I just looked at this man and said, my God, that is my daughter's life this man is holding.
The shortage of organ and tissue donors is a very real problem. In North America, over 80,000 people are waiting for a transplant to save or improve their lives. Ever watch the New York City Marathon and seen the people running by for hours? Imagine almost 3 times that number of people are awaiting a transplant. Many will never reach the finish line of their own individual race against time. District Attorney Bill Murphy will forever be grateful to this man, his bodyguard, Detective Danny Angelis. Danny is a strong family man with a foundation of honor, tradition, and respect. Danny donated his kidney to save his boss's life. Bill Murphy himself was living under a life sentence with a debilitating kidney disease. A man who had helped so many others was now himself desperately in need of help.
Among the first people who became aware that I needed a new kidney were the members of my family, my wife and my 2 daughters. And of course, it was an upsetting bit of news to all of them. When I looked at the transplant list wait time, I was told that in the New York area is between 3.5 and 5 years. It was clear to me that the best way for me to approach this was to see if I could get a transplant from a living donor. My bureau chiefs, they were the first level of people in the office who became aware of it, and one of the first people that I talked to, and it was just by chance, was Mario Mattei. And Mario, before he left my office, offered to donate a kidney to me.
Mario Mattei's brave and generous donation, above and beyond the call of duty, would attempt to help save Bill Murphy's life. Unfortunately, there are always risks.
The kidney rejected inside Mr. Murphy, and I on a personal note, felt terrible. And I went into the room with Mario and had a good cry with him. Of course, Mario and me both feel a lot for Mr. Murphy, and I knew that he was in serious trouble then. I consulted with 2 of Mr. Murphy's doctors and asked them what I had to do to get on the donor testing list. It wasn't a hard decision. Mr. Murphy was in his office doing paperwork, and I said, "Can I speak to you a minute, boss?" He said, "What's the matter?" I said, "Well, I got some good news for you." He said, "What?" I says, "It's a go." I says, "We're a match."
Having been the recipient of a kidney from a friend who donated it to me, I got a new lease on life. I realized just how much peril I was in before that transplant.
He was taken back. He had tears in his eyes, as I did.
Please sign the back of your driver's license and tell your family of your wishes. TheVisionaryFoundation.org.
I got sick in my senior year of high school, and it precipitated into me needing a transplant, 19 years later. And I was really 1 hour or less away from death when my call came in. And that was I guess, the best thing that I've ever heard in my life was you're being transplanted.
They found out that she had this autoimmune hemolytic anemia. I had the hardest time saying it to start out with.
I went to Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles, and they said, well, you have two options. We can operate on your liver and try to get the stones out, or we can give you a liver transplant.
It's about as serious as it gets because it's going to go with the heart. She's got to have a double organ transplant.
I just went from doctor to doctor here, and I wasn't happy, and one of them told me, you'll never get a transplant here because you have lupus.
That was probably the most difficult time of my life. When she was told she would have to have a liver and a heart, both, and it had never been done in the Western United States before.
A week turned into 2 weeks to a month to finally 11 weeks. My kidneys failed while I was in ICU. They had to put me on dialysis. You know, every day goes by, you keep thinking, well, am I going to get my transplant today? Am I going to get my transplant? I just wanted to get my transplant because I knew once I got it, everything would be fine.
One of the things a parent never expects to do is to bury their own child. That is the furthest thing from a parent's mind.
And I said to my parents, just let me die. I can't take this anymore. And my father looked at me and said,
that's not like you. For 17 years, you've been the most positive person. You fought all the way, and you're certainly not going to give up now.
I was sick, I was weak, I just couldn't survive anymore. And I used up everything, all the positive strength that I could, I'd used up.
Maybe a half an hour later, we got the call that the organs became available.
My mother picked up the phone and she just stood there blankly. And then all of a sudden she goes, you're being transplanted. And, you know, as weak as I was just so extremely happy. And I kept calling all my friends to tell them I'm being transplanted. In my little weak voice.
Christine got on the phone and with absolute tears in her voice and the jubilation and the joy and the moment had come, she said, I'm being transplanted. And I thought,
you know, you're bawling and you're crying and you want to die, and then all of a sudden you get this call and you want to live and you have life, and you can see that finally that light is at the end of the tunnel that you've been waiting to see for so long. And it was peace. I mean, I finally felt at peace because I didn't know, you know, what was going to happen, and then all of a sudden I knew I was going to live.
Please sign the back of your driver's license and tell your family of your wishes. TheVisionaryFoundation.org.